Just brutal. All right, YouTube, we're trying it again. All right, YouTube, we're trying it again. Hang in there, everybody. I'm going to be with you in 1 second. We're going to blast this out. Somehow there were 7 of you that decided to show up and witness that travesty. So thank you for that, YouTube. We love that you're always here. Is this the new one? No, that's the old one. Hold on. Man, this is hard doing it by yourself, gang. I gotta tell you. All right, it's showing us as live now. Is this the new one? There we go. Thanks, Chris. Tucker. It's not that you started, it's how you finished. Thank you guys for being positive and encouraging in the moment. All right, give me 1 second. We're gonna blast this thing out, and then we're gonna take off. We'll get into some serious analysis here. I promise. Man, it's hard to do all this crap by yourself. I tell you. Normally, I have Jackson here to vamp for me while I do all this, but everybody's got wives and kids now. And of course, it's the holiday season, and we're playing a Sunbelt team, which did not help. All right, it's out there. We're gonna get this thing started. YouTube, thanks for bearing with me. And three, two, one. All right, everybody. After a crazy false start and an even crazier game, we're coming to you after Auburn has cleaned house, dropping 100 points, a 41-point victory over the Panthers of Georgia State. This game opened up with the largest point spread in Auburn basketball history. We were expected to win by 38 and a half points. We wound up winning by 41. If Ryan Storm and Norman was here with us tonight, he would say good teams win, great teams cover. But you don't have Ryan Storm and Norman tonight. You got your sometimes host, Ben. I'm here by myself. It's going to be me in the YouTube chat who saved my previous record from just being a complete waste of time thanks to the audio not working. So I'm going to be checking in with them throughout the game. But you know where we like to start MVP discussions. We had a lot of guys that definitely contributed MVP type performances tonight. But the biggest performance is maybe the one that didn't happen. About 2.5 minutes into this game, Janai Broom tweaked something in his shoulder. Some folks are saying it's a joint inflammation, separated shoulder. I'm not going to speculate. I'm not a doctor. Every time I've speculated in the past, it's gone wrong. But Janai Broom finished tonight with 2 points and 1 block. He took our first 3 shots of the game, which was really huge for us. We like getting him involved early, but then he was out for the whole rest of the game. He came back to the sideline, was there with ice on his shoulder through the first half, and then in the second half came back out and sling. Seemed to be in pretty good spirits. My guess is it's more precautionary than anything. But in the absence of the KenPom #1 player of the year candidate, we had some guys really step up tonight. I mean, Chad Baker Mazzara, for all of his crazy antics, continues to be such a steadying force for this team. He was only 4 of 11 from the field, including 0 of 4 from the 3-point line, but he made all 11 of his free throws. He continues to be that zany body drawing contact to finish with 19 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, and a steal. Only 1 turnover for him, too. So even though, he kind of plays chaotic, he kept tonight under control. 19 points, really great night for him. Denver Jones, what can you say about our point guard tonight? He's struggled a little bit shooting the ball through the beginning of this year, the first 10 games, but tonight he was absolutely electric from downtown. 5 of 7 from behind the arc to finish with 17 points. He also had a steal and just continues to look like one of our most effective ball handlers. The way he comes up the court is absolutely electric. The way that he fights off curl actions and comes around screens to hit those open looks, it's all you could ask for. But The man of the hour tonight is definitely number 31 in your programs, number one in the scoring column, and number one in the impact column tonight. Chaney Johnson, the D2 star turned bona fide SEC power forward. He had to fill in some serious minutes with Janai Broom out tonight. And how did he respond? A career high 26 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. So no one's here to fight me about it. I'm going to check the YouTube chat. I'm not sure if Jackson had Reddit going up tonight, but I'm pretty sure the unanimous consensus is that Chaney Johnson was the MVP tonight. And on the Jungle podcast, we don't just like to talk about who scores the most. It's about when they score and about how they do it. Chaney Johnson, 12 of 14 from the floor tonight. He did that thing that Jackson is always begging guys to do. He attacked the basket. He moved well inside. And, I wish Ryan and Matt were here to help better break down some of our positional rotations, because it seemed to me a lot of the time when we had Turtle Hudson out there that Chaney Johnson was effectively in our 5 position on offense, filling that role that Janai Broom normally fills of being the guy to crash back to the basket, catch the ball inside, turn around, and just lay the ball in. I mean, it was a fantastic game all around. He did have some silly fouls early on, which is going to be something that we continue to watch. But Dylan Cardwell by far had the silliest fouls. And I guess now it's time to really sort of get into the player breakdown a little bit. I've gushed enough about Chaney. The first half was rough. You could tell that we were not prepared to not have Janai as a huge part of this rotation tonight. Georgia State's a long team. They got a couple of guys in their front court that are 6'8" and above. So just like how we saw Duke stepping into passing lanes, making guys uncomfortable on our inbound plays, and fighting through a lot of our screen action, they threw some big bodies at us tonight, and it made a huge difference in the way that first half rotated, not having one of our biggest and one of our best guys out there. Dylan Cardwell having to play a lot more early meant he wound up with 3 fouls, but he did finish with 6 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. So he continues to improve his offensive function. But just like Chaney, we want to get Dylan into a position where he's not feeling like he has to foul so much. I mean, Chaney had a fantastic sequence at the end of this game where the ball got turned over and he was trailing a guy in the open court and just contested the shot. He didn't try to go for the block. He didn't go for the foul. He just made it an off-balance, difficult shot. The guy missed. So now Chaney takes the ball, goes coast to coast, slam dunk. I mean, it's just clean Bruce Pearl basketball. Make your opponents take tough shots and then take advantage of the breaks in the open courts when you have it. Turtle Hudson and Ja'Kai Howard both played a lot more minutes tonight than usual. I don't have their minute breakdown here. It's probably something we would have expected against Georgia State. They are a Sun Belt team, as Bruce said before the game. We did lose to App State last year, but at 4-7 and with 2 other 100-point scoring give ups to SEC teams, Georgia State, I don't think, is in any danger of making the dance or making any kind of noise in their conference this year. And it was probably a lot closer in the first half than we would have thought. But Ja'Kai Howard and Turtle Hudson probably played some of their best games of the year so far, especially when you consider the amount of minutes they had to play. Jaheim Hudson finished with 4 points, but he had 3 assists and 3 rebounds, 2 of which were defensive. So he worked really, really well on the defensive end. Ja'Kai Howard finished with 7 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 steals. He only hit 1 3-pointer tonight, but he was 4 of 4 from the free throw line. You love to see that from a freshman. And Miles Kelly struggled tonight. He got to the rack on a really fantastic pump drive. They got him his only points from the floor, but he was 4 of 4 from the free throw line, and finished tonight with 6 points, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 4 rebounds. So it was nice to see him actually crashing the glass. He also finished with 2 blocks tonight. And we're going to talk about the block party in just a little bit, because some of these stats are kind of mind-blowing from the team perspective. All right, who are we missing here? Chris Moore. Man, you can't say enough about being grateful to have a guy like Chris Moore. He's a steady hand. He's Matt's type of player. All the fundamentals are there. But I know Matt was furious with him at the end of the first half. He got wrapped up in what could have been a flagrant one that I don't know what the refs were looking at. It was a very strangely officiated game. But Chris Moore gave us 3 points tonight, but he had 2 steals, a block, an assist, and a rebound. So, just doing all the little things, continuing to be a reliable presence to bring onto the floor in defensive rotations. And probably the biggest news of the night, at least for me, particularly early on when we didn't have Janai Broom, JP Pegues did not see the floor in the first half of this game. Even when we are in panic mode, even when we are in throwing in all kinds of different adjustments and everything, JP Big East did not see the floor. And I think there's a reason for that. I think we're getting really fantastic play out of Todd Pettiford and Denver Jones. And frankly, Miles Kelly. Miles Kelly had a little bit of an off shooting night, but playing that two guard position, he looks excellent, especially defensively out there. But JP Big East came in. He hit a 3-pointer tonight. He had 2 assists late in that game. And that 3-pointer, Jackson, I know you're listening, sent the game over 100 points. And Jackson was so mad that we didn't have that happen in a game earlier this year. So I know he's pleased to at least see JP doing that much in terms of his contribution. But speaking of off shooting nights, man, Pettiford struggled a little bit with this one. Again, he's going against a longer team, so he was driving and aggressively cutting inside, but he only finished 3 of 8 from the field, 1 of 4 from beyond the arc. But he did have 2 big steals tonight, really relying on that athleticism. No assists for him, which is kind of unusual. Chaney Johnson had 4 assists for us to be second on the team behind Chad Baker Mazar, who finished with 6. And even Turtle Hudson out assisted him on the assist game. So not Tahad's best night. But again, I don't think we needed Tahad to be at his best, particularly not when you've got a guy like Denver Jones shooting the way that he is. It really makes a huge, huge difference for this team. So let's talk team stats. We managed to hold Georgia State to only 33.9% from the field. So almost 34% from the field. Not bad. But even more importantly than that, 18% from three. They finished 4 of 22 from behind the arc. That's just huge. They started the game shooting free throws pretty well at a pretty good clip. I believe at one point they were like 10 of 13 or something like that. But they finished the game 13 of 20. I mean, their best players just had to play so many minutes trying to keep them in this game. And you could tell that fatigue was starting to pile up at the end. Auburn finished 35 of 51 from the floor for a blistering 57% shooting percentage. And thanks to Denver Jones' heroics, we finished 9 of 25 from behind the arc. So 36% from three. Fantastic, right where you want to be as a team. And music to my ears, despite a rough start and only 2 of 5 from the charity stripe for Chaney Johnson, we finished 21 of 25 from the free throw line for a nice round 80.8%. That, my friends, is winning basketball. Now, an area that we're definitely going to have to clean up with Purdue looming is our rebounding category. We got absolutely smoked on the glass tonight. Georgia State finished with 34 rebounds to Auburn's 24. We had, no, wait, hang on. I'm reading those stats wrong. Oh, no, we did improve at the end of the game. Oh, man. The disparity, I wish I had Ferg's stats here, but I'm working by myself. So I'm just going off the ESPN stats right now. We finished tied on rebounding, which is great considering how this game started off. But the vast majority of our rebounds were defensive. We had 24 defensive rebounds to 10 offensive rebounds. Georgia State was a lot more balanced. They had 17 offensive rebounds and 17 defensive rebounds. I'm going to see if I can find their second chance points here in a little bit to talk about that, because it seemed to be a real key for them, was us not being able to box out and us not being able to keep them off the offensive glass. So 34-34, not bad for the rebounds, especially when you consider the size advantage they had with Janai out. We held them to 7 assists on 21 made baskets. So less than a third of their baskets were they able to get assisted good passes on. Auburn finished with 19 assists on 35 made baskets. That looks like last year's team, sharing the ball well, running that good screen action. Really just a fantastic Bruce Pearl offense. We won the steal battle 11-7. So we started off with some sloppy play. I believe we had something like 6 turnovers in the first half. We only finished with 11 turnovers for the game. Definitely more than our season average, but not by much. But we forced 20 turnovers from Georgia State. And if you want to talk about the difference of where we really blew this game open, we started the second half on an 11-0 run where we turned them over 3 times in the first 2 minutes. I mean, that's the kind of defensive intensity and focus you see from championship caliber teams. But Jackson, wherever you are in the world right now, I hope you're sleeping peacefully, because we obliterated the block party. 9 blocks to 0 tonight. I mean, we were just blocking shots left and right. Dylan Cardwell got in on it. Miles Kelly got in on it. Ja'Kai Howard, Chris Moore. Just incredible, incredible effort from these guys playing some excellent basketball tonight. And again, you can't talk enough about how Auburn covered the largest spread in its history. Auburn has never been favored by so many points in Las Vegas over a team like this. Good teams win, great teams cover. It just shows you the quality of depth of this team, that we could lose our best player and really not play our best basketball and still win a game by 41 points. All right. We've got Justin Ferguson's stats here to try to dive in just a little bit deeper. So our halftime score, nothing to sneeze at. We were up by 12 at the break, 43-31. But in the second half, we outscored Georgia State 57-28. We finished the game on an 11-0 run over the last 2 minutes and went 5 of 5. We held Georgia State without a basketball for the last 2 minutes and 18 seconds. And of course, the real story is the points off turnovers. You already know that we won the turnover battle 20-11, but we finished with 30 points off of those turnovers and held Georgia State to just 9. Bruce's ability to get these guys to buy in on defense and force tough shots means that even when we're at a disadvantage, we saw this a couple of times in their fast breaks. If you just force these guys to take tough shots, it's going to go in your favor more times than not. A big factor for us tonight was bench points. I mean, obviously we know Chaney Johnson comes off the bench, but it just goes to show how deep this team is, that he's essentially our sixth man of the year, and he can come in and have a career night on a night where Janai Broom's just not going to get those minutes. We finished with winning bench points 50-15. I mean, there's your ball game right there, folks. That's almost a 35-point advantage. But if you want to look for one more, we can find the rest of those points to make up the win. It's points in the paint. We may have had a tough night of rebounding, but we finished with 52 points in the paint to Georgia State's 32 points in the paint. I mean, just truly incredible commitment to working the ball inside, even without your best player. I mean, it just shows that this coaching staff knows their team and that this team knows this system. You can have the next man step up and really make a play. Well, folks, it's been a long night. It's been a long week, and we got a tough one coming up. This Saturday, we're going to be in Birmingham against Purdue. They're currently ranked, I believe, number 11, but I'm going to pull this up and we're going to get a taste of it. No, they're currently ranked 16th. Purdue's 8-3 on the season. They've already got a tough loss to Alabama, and a strange loss to Penn State, and then they just recently lost in the Indy Classic to Texas A&M, 70-66. So they're still going to be holding on to that number 16 ranking when they come into Birmingham on Saturday. And, Purdue's going to be a challenging matchup. They're always big. They're always long. They're led by Trey Kaufman-Renn, 6'9" junior that is currently averaging 18.2 points a game. So we're going to really be hoping that Janai Broom is healthy, and tonight was just precautionary, and then he's going to come back from this bum shoulder and have things working on. I'm going to come here before we say goodnight tonight and check out the YouTube chat. We got Chris Thomas, who says it's working this time. Thank you, Chris. Chaney for MVP. JP getting a big 3 at the end to hit 100. Needed that for the confidence builder. Man, I hope you're right. I hope that we just continue to see over these next couple of games, JP continuing to find a stroke. And I get the feeling we're going to need him. I mean, tonight's a perfect example. You never know when it's going to be next man up. So you need everybody on that roster. Tucker Robinson. Jackson's been out for a while, huh? Yeah, you know what, Tucker? I agree with you. We need Jackson's energy back on this podcast. Jackson, shout out Jackson. The fans love you. The fans need you. Oh, Mr. Gibbs, we're so glad you're here. It was close with Denver and Chaney, but Chaney ran away with it at the end. Couldn't agree more. I mean, look, Denver's a steady hand. He's a steady presence. He is what we crave in a point guard. But Chaney Johnson was just too dominant tonight and too important filling in for the injured Janai Broom. Tucker back with the block party. We love you. Continuing to acknowledge that. Mr. Beautiful, always good to have you here. And Chris Thomas seems to think that the chippiness at the end of that game might have been what led to the 100-piece getting dropped. You know what? I think you might be right, Chris. It did get a little chippy at the end. Georgia State's coach got teed up trying to argue with the referees. So, I mean, look, when you're the number 2 team in the country, you're going to get every team's best shot, and they're going to be working the refs to try to get every advantage that they can. This is where Auburn's at now. We're the number 2 team in the country, and we're probably going to stay there until Tennessee loses and we can finally climb that last rung. But I don't know. We got a big time matchup coming up. It's our last big out of conference game for the season. If you haven't listened to our preseason preview, there's still a chance you're going to hear us make some really, really fun, wrong predictions that have already not come true. But you're going to hear us talk about how important this out of conference schedule is going to be for us going forward. So folks at home, folks in the YouTube chat, are you having fun? Because let me tell you, we're having fun here at the Jungle Auburn podcast.